Nigeria prepares for election in January 2011, and some media houses are ready to report the process without compromise. 3 of them were represented at an African roundtable held at the Time Auditorium in New York to discuss Nigerian elections and the role of the media. The forum was organized by the Global Information Network and moderated by the publisher of SaharaReporters.com. On the panel were Mr. Sylvester Ebodage, Mr. Shola Oshunkeye, Mr. Musekilu Mujid, and Mr. Mohammed Keita, the Africa Advocacy Coordinator of the committee that protects journalists.
So, Mujid, how much or how bad is corruption in Nigerian media to the extent that it would affect the role of the media in the coming election?
Some of the major newspapers in Nigeria are owned by politicians. Some of them are contesting the election. These guys are corrupt by themselves and they see nothing wrong in compromising the media. And I see that going on, except something is done to empower the Nigerian media so that journalists will earn more and be able to, avoid being compromised.
Same politicians we are supposed to put in check coming to tell us what we should report, what we should publish. And I found that very, very disturbing. And it's also part of the big problems we're having to deal with. That most of the media we see are either owned or controlled, influenced by these money bags.
Rather than do what we are trying to do now, giving our platform to people with fresh ideas, younger people, we run after these so-called money bags, as they are called. They have the money to sponsor campaigns in the media. Most media owners in Nigeria don't have enough sufficient funds to sustain production, so most of the time they find themselves falling back to the same set of people at night to solicit funds, and in the process they mortgage their independence.
The Nigerian media certainly over the years has been looked at as a leader in West Africa and across the continent, and it continues to be. Now, of course, there are other problems that need to be discussed. For instance, there's a lot of work to be done for the press because up to this day, Nigeria still has in its books laws that were set up by the colonial rulers and then the military rulers of the country, essentially to restrict the press.
Yeah, I just like to add, like your newspaper is owned by a politician,
Yes.
And who is facing charges of corruption. So how do you handle that if he prefers a candidate and you as an editor prefers another? So how do you handle that?
Well, we've been fortunate in that respect because to be very fair to the man, he does not interfere in our editorial policies. So far, we've been enjoying some kind of independence in the kind of editorial decisions that we take.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, who is headed by a former radical professor named as Mahmoud Jiga, announced this timetable. One of the things he plans to do, which I think is going to be the ninth wonder of the world, is to register 70 million Nigerians in 2 weeks. I don't think it's even possible to do that in New York, to register 8 million people who live in this city in 2 weeks. And then you have to do it in Nigeria. The machines for the registration have not arrived. Nobody is aware of who is bringing in the machines. I just want to ask, from the point of a publisher, somebody who have his ears to the ground, is it possible, do you think, that by January we will have an election that can be regarded as free and fair?
I don't think it is possible to register 70 million Nigerians within 2 weeks. It's going to be challenging for the Commission unless we would have a repeat of what we had before, where the likes of Lisa would have her name on the Nigerian voters register. Even though she doesn't live in Nigeria, we'll be having names like Mike Tyson again. And then they come and tell the public we registered 70 million people.
Also, there is a danger of diversionary tactics. If you observe, the election is just about 4 or 5 months away. Nobody is talking about what each of the candidates are going to do for Nigeria. We're talking about zoning, which part of Nigeria should produce a president, which part of the state should produce the governors. So, and the politicians are enjoying that, and the media is playing along. So we're not really holding those who've been in office accountable. We're not asking them what their agenda have for the Nigerian people. So those are the dangers facing the reporting of elections in Nigeria.
Fellow publishers and editors-in-chief, they call me and they say, "Come, are you the only one aware of that? How come you're publishing? I mean, why not relax? Why not?" These people say they try to reach you and you're not trying to listen to them. All right, so we publish these stories. We don't care whose horse is gored because we believe that that is the only way to ensure that Nigeria as a country continues to survive.
I think the problem is that there is a lot of lackadaisical, I mean, it's not like lackadaisical attitude, they just don't believe that debates matter, because the people who win elections in Nigeria don't win it based upon acceptance from the populace. They win it based upon their ability to rig, to beat up people, maim people, and kill people before the election, during the election, and after the election.
With all these issues with organizing debates with broadcasters might also be rooted in the fact that from the get-go, like in 1992, under the military regime, they set up a law to regulate the broadcasting sector. And under that law, essentially the discretion as to who gets a TV or a radio license is left to political appointees. It's anywhere between the Ministry of Information and the President. So with that, you have a system that is set up where essentially it's political appointees that decide who gets a license.
Access is also a huge problem, as you said. In Nigeria, we have 36 states in Nigeria, and each of the states has its own TV stations, publicly owned TV stations. And those TV stations are beholden to the ruling, party or government. So they do not say anything good in the opposition. So such stations definitely will never allow debates.
Each time there's an election, those that you see in the front are those with very, very deep pockets. Their pockets are so deep they can manipulate any process. And that's why essentially nothing seems to work in Nigeria, because they will subvert any law even before that law gets through Congress.
The coming elections, if the media will not stand its ground, if we will not be as objective as we are supposed to be, if we refuse to be as proactive as we should be, I think the whole world should hold the Nigerian media responsible for whatever becomes of the coming elections.
Yes, next time we're going to make sure that there's a female representation, and beyond that, we're working towards a female Nigerian president. The men have messed up for too long. All right? Thank you very much, and have a good night.
For more information and updates on upcoming roundtables, contact Lisa Vives at Global Information Network. In New York, I'm Adiola Oladele.
Ẹ ṣé o, ẹ ṣé o, ẹ ṣé o, ẹ ṣé o, afrojuju lẹ fẹ́ gbọ́ o, ẹ ṣé o.